Papa told me I couldn't do a lot of things.
I feel like I'm the chosen one.
Look at this. We created this. This didn't exist before we were here. All we are is proud and passionate. I love Toronto. I love this team. And we're going to the NBA Finals. Let's go!
Nothing matters but winning.
You're going to the NBA Finals for the first time in your career.
Canada, the NBA title is yours. The Toronto Raptors are the 2019 NBA champions.
Welcome back, everybody, to episode 3 of Rapzville Weekly. I'm your co-host, Gabriel Chelio, along with my other co-host,
Adam Casucci.
And today we're going to be discussing COVID-19 comeback plans. So a couple weeks ago, the Woj tweeted that the league will be returning. Let's go.
Finally.
Let's go, baby. We are back. Okay, Adam, give me your thoughts on this. Are you happy? Are you sad? You scared? Nervous for the players? What's going on?
Well, yeah, I do think it's unsafe, even though I do want the season to continue. I mean, CJ McCollum, guard of the Portland Trailblazers, expressed his opinion of returning, saying he wants to play but doesn't feel it's 100% safe with all the players and coaches in the arena at the same time, touching the ball, all that. Also, other leagues like the soccer leagues, Serie A, La Liga, have also returned, as well as the NHL, planning to return soon. Also, the UFC was the first sport entertainment league to resume during the pandemic and doing tests before the fights.
Yeah, I was watching a bit of Joe Rogan's podcast, and I happened to see that. I even saw some clips of the fights. That it's crazy that they have no fans, so you can hear like all the punches and kicks, the breathing of the two fighters. You could hear the coaches calling out, telling their fighters what to do and stuff. It's a really interesting atmosphere with no fans, and I think when the basketball does that, the NBA does that, I think it's going to be interesting to hear all the coaches yelling at each other, maybe some swearing on the court, guys like Kyle Lowry, guys like Kyle Lowry, floor general, calling the plays and stuff. I think it's going to be interesting hearing that stuff, even like the players breathing. It's definitely something that I'm interested in seeing because I know that it was interesting for UFC. But overall, I'm excited basketball's back, obviously. I love watching it. I also don't know, though, how safe is it going to be. I know the league is putting precautions into place, which we're going to discuss, but, who knows what can happen. This virus it's scary, hard to control. People are kind of forgetting about it a little bit with, like, the protests, and it's summertime and all this stuff going on. People want to go out, so they're kind of putting it on the back burner and forgetting about it. But, it's something that's got to stay in our minds because who knows what can happen, really, right? Like, what happens if the league restarts and someone else gets it or a couple players get it? Do they continue and replace this guy? Do they cancel the season again? Like, what's the stopping point? What number do you think of players are going to have to get it before maybe we say, this is enough, we got to cancel again?
I mean, Gabe, I think maybe 5 to 10. I think with that number, I mean, it's a very infectious disease and they want to be very precautious when dealing with it. I would say 5 to 10, Gabe.
Yeah, I think that's a good number. 6, 7, that's what I was going to say, like somewhere around there where a couple guys get it, and obviously they want to be precautious, but at the same time they made this push to restart the season. It would be a shame if they canceled it again. All their work and all the planning would go out the window. So I agree. I think 6, 7 is a good number.
Sure. Okay, so now we'll be bringing it into a bit of factual information. So on Thursday, June 4th, the NBA planned a vote of the league's board of governors. The owners of the teams have approved Adam Silver's proposed format to restart the season in Orlando, Florida, Disney World on July 31st, later moved to July 30th to start the season, and it was decided on June 11th. The season will run until October 12th. Many different plans have been considered, and they have decided on a 22-team continuation of the season to finalize the final playoff positions by letting close playoff contenders fight for the bottom seeds, which I think is very good. The NBA needed 75% of the majority of owners to approve a return to play, and Adam Silver has got that. Only one of the 4 ideas that were proposed have been turned down, as it can no longer be a consideration. This concept was having all 30 teams return. I just wanted to discuss a little bit about Trae Young wanting to return and saying that he needed a bit of more experience, and he was having such a good season with the Atlanta Hawks, and obviously they won't be making it to the postseason, but he just wanted a chance to just finish off the regular season games and and play a bit more basketball after the pandemic. The 2020 NBA draft will also take place on October 15th. The lottery draft pick will take place on August 25th to see where everyone stands when picking on draft night. And the NBA is also targeting December 1st as their date to start the 2020-21 NBA season.
A lot of basketball.
The 22 The 22 teams include teams that are within 6 games of the final playoff spot. New Orleans Pelicans, Phoenix Suns, San Antonio Spurs, Portland Trail Blazers, and Sacramento Kings would make it to Orlando in this case for the West, and then Washington Wizards for the East. A former proposal for 20 teams was ruled out that would only include New Orleans, San Antonio, Portland, and Sacramento. 8 regular season games will be played to decide the playoff seeding for this 22-team format, which I think is good, getting some regular season games in there. And also, the NBA is cautioning coaches over the age of 65 to not be on the bench courtside with their team. Some examples are Greg Popovich, legendary Pop, Mike D'Antoni, coach of the Rockets, and Alvin Gentry, coach of the Pelicans. Gabe, what's your opinion, and should they be on the bench while this pandemic is on, or what's your opinion on that?
It's a tough situation. I think obviously the league is trying to look out for the best of their coaching staff, players. They want the best for everybody. That's their job, to keep everyone safe. And I think they're just looking for the best of those guys. They want them to be safe and healthy because you don't know what can happen if some of the younger players, get out of hand, maybe break some quarantine rules or something, and they contract it. They give it to one of the coaches, and that could be really life threatening. So I think they're just trying to they're trying to make the best decision here, and I think it's gonna be tough because guys like Greg Popovich, Mike D'Antoni, they're passionate coaches and they love being on the floor. Sure. So it's gonna be tough to not seeing them there. I'm not sure what they're going to do. Are they going to be forced to not be on the bench, or is it going to be like we recommend it? Because if it's like a recommendation, I feel like the coaches are probably just going to want to be on the floor. Yeah, that's my thoughts. Anyways, before I continue on, I wanted to bring up one more thing. What are your thoughts on Spencer Dinwiddie's 28-team format he proposed online? It was kind of trending on social media for a little bit, and I think it was interesting. It was kind of like a March Madness setup. So we had 28 out of the 30 teams playing, and the top 4 teams in the league had bye weeks, including the Raptors, the Bucks, the Clippers, and the Lakers. I think it's cool. It's definitely something we haven't seen before, and especially because of how popular March Madness is in college basketball. I think that it might have been interesting to try it up, especially Adam Silver being such a creative commissioner as he is. I think he would be willing to try something like that. And I thought it could be fun, but at the same time, it does give a little bit of extra room to those guys who were far from playoff spots this year. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I think the Spencer Dinwiddie consideration, I like the elimination process with making it suspenseful, but I think it's also an easy way in for the teams that didn't do so well in the regular season and are making this tournament. During the regular season, that's why you play the regular season, is to work toward getting to the playoffs, and his consideration doesn't really establish that with all kind of teams except 2 not making it, right? So it's kind of a cheap way to get in.
Yeah. Okay. I even saw that I think Michael Jordan went to Adam Silver and said, keep it very simple. Don't try these weird creative ideas. Just bring the season back. Do it the old-fashioned way. Just make it simple. And I think MJ might have had some influence there. Mm-hmm. So on June 11th, the NBA announced that they would allow teams to carry a maximum of 17 players on their roster, including players on 2-way contracts. And if the player signed an NBA or G League deal this season or the previous season, then they would be eligible to play as well. And this basically means veterans like J.R. Smith and Jamal Crawford could possibly join contending teams, which I think would be interesting. Those are still players that they have tons of experience, playoff experience. I could picture a guy like J.R. Smith going to the Lakers. I know the Raps usually keep it simple, and they'd probably pull up some G League guys because they like being loyal to the franchise, but I wouldn't be surprised seeing some of those veterans come back if they do. Yeah, so the NBA reports to hold a transaction window from June 22nd to July 1st to allow all 30 teams to add players before the current season restart. I think it's all 30 because of how soon the next season is going to start in December, that they've made a new transaction window to help these teams fill up their roster spots, especially because it's going to be a lot of games, a lot of back-to-back, so they're going to need probably more players due to injury and that type of thing. And right now, there's no limit of how many players can be replaced due to injury or positive COVID-19 test result. Because once again, if someone gets tested positive, do they have to swap out that player? Do they have to test the whole team that day and then cancel all the games that that are going on that game, maybe even the next until results come back. It's going to be an interesting situation to see. And obviously, with all these games that are going to be condensed in this amount of time, I think there's going to be a lot more injuries. Yeah. So we're going to see a lot more players sitting.
The and National G League call-ups as well.
Pardon me?
And a lot of G League call-ups as well.
Yeah. So the National Basketball Players Association demanded some regular season games to be played before playoffs in order to help warm up the players' bodies again, no matter how many teams are brought to Orlando. And the NBA and NBPA are mindful of generating revenue, and they think that playing some of these regular season games first before going straight to the playoffs is going to generate some more revenue for the NBA, possibly because you got to get the fan base to kind of work their way back into things, which I think is a good way of doing so. And the facilities for each team in the league have also been quite strict with the rules to ensure the safeties of these players, although many are eager to get back to practicing again. I know last month the NBA released a set of rules for teams to adhere to during the reopening process, and it states that players returning to their team cities from their hometowns must undergo quarantine before entering the facility. And it states that no more than 4 players will be allowed into a facility at the same time, although many teams, including the Toronto Raptors, have limited their numbers down. Toronto limited to 1 player at a time. And on a call with some of the reporters, the GM of the Raptors, Bobby Webster, said that not any players not in Toronto will be held to Canada's 14-day quarantine guidelines. And also on the radio station with Eric Smith, Webster said that he did not consider opening things up as a huge competitive advantage because Toronto was one of the earlier teams to reopen the facility. He thinks it's rather a step to help the players' mental health. And I think that's a huge thing coming out of this, is that players might start to feel a little more scared playing again because they know that, with all this contact and stuff, they have a really high risk of contracting the virus, and that might cause some mental health problems. So I think it's really good that Bobby Webster's taking this approach where he's thinking we're not rushing to get players back and ready to play just for the sake of winning, but also we want to make sure the players know that they're safe and that they can trust what's going on here. And without many of the facilities being fully operational, players have turned to at-home workouts by buying gym equipment. I listened to Danny Green's podcast, and he was talking to other NBA players about staying in shape and having to buy all this equipment that he never would have thought he needed, right? Who would have thought 1 year ago today we'd be here without basketball, without the playoffs, without any
wearing masks,
without any sports in general. It's a crazy situation. And I know obviously the NBA players, they always thought we have our facilities to go to. We're never going to need really too much for our own things. And now they're all looking at getting at-home gyms. I saw Serge Ibaka has posted some videos on his, I believe, Instagram page of his at-home workouts, and he's trying to make do with what he has in his narrow hallways of his condo. He's trying to do some body weight workouts, but he's making do with what he has, and that's really the best the players can do at this point in time.
Now we'll be taking you to what the NBA players have been kind of doing at home. Many NBA players are struggling to even stay busy during this quarantine, and many have turned to social media as an outlet or gaming entertainment. Many players have dusted off their gaming consoles, and started streaming, such as Devin Booker, him as a gamer, Ben Simmons, Rudy Gobert, Myers Leonard, Donovan Mitchell, Justin Jackson, and many more. Some players have also participated in Ronnie's online 2K tournament, which is pretty fun. I watched a bit of that with Devin Booker winning, including Trae Young, DeAndre Ayton, Kevin Durant, Montrezl Harrell, Andre Drummond, Whiteside, Cousins, and a few others. But outside of gaming, social media has been popular as many players look to keep their fans engaged and up to date with what they're doing in their lives during the quarantine. And any news they have of the NBA. Some of them use live streams on their own Instagrams or even the NBA's Instagram page. Serge Ibaka specifically started his own segments on his page called "How Talented Are You?" And he also has his own cooking show, "How Hungry Are You?" The purpose of the show, "How Talented Are You?" was to embrace the hard work and courage of our frontline workers, and to represent that Serge donated $50,000 to the winner of the show's foundation in their own country. So I think, props to Serge for that. I was thinking of such a wonderful idea to not only donate the funds, but also to interact with the fans who have talent. And he also had notable names on the show to keep everyone interested, like Bianca Andreescu, the U.S. Open champion, former Raptor Danny Green, and retired veteran hockey player Paul Bissonnette.
Yeah, I think it's really cool to see, first off, all of the basketball players coming together for something like Ronnie's 2K tournament, and then seeing them interact is really cool, like Trae Young and DeAndre Ayton kind of asking each other about how they've been, what they're doing, how do they been like not been able to play this whole time. And even Zach LaVine, I saw, was poking some fun at some plays he made on Aiden, stuff like that. It's cool to see the players have a casual interaction for once, based on, they're more competitive with each other, might not be having all this one-on-one time. And now it's like when you see a celebrity in real life, it's like you see them, they're people too. They're having their own casual conversations and it's not basketball related. I think it's cool to see this side of the players. That along with the the talent show, I think is a really cool idea that Serge Ibaka has brought along. So is that basically just like a talent show, like America's Got Talent type thing? They bring on contestants and then they perform. How does it sort of work?
So it's basically like an elimination process. So you start off with a lot of contestants, and you work your way down. I think he did a good job of setting that up along with his roommate Jordy. And that's how it kind of works. It was like an elimination process.
And it's on his Instagram Live, right? Not NBA's.
No, yeah, it's on his.
So they had like some singers and stuff, like those type of talents?
Yeah, they had mostly singers, magicians as well, a couple unorthodox talents like painters, some other stuff, but
cool.
Yeah, it was mostly just singing and magicians.
Yeah, that's cool. Honestly, it's nice to see players interacting with their fans. I saw a lot of Instagram lives, even on the NBA's page, like Victor Oladipo. It's nice seeing players keeping in touch with fans and keeping them engaged with the basketball community, as obviously everyone's kind of bored and looking for something to satisfy their needs. And it's good that the players are showing some time for their fans. And obviously something like Serge Ibaka, can we talk for a second just about his show, How Hungry Are You, is just hilarious. I think some of the best Raptors content has come out of there, seeing like Lowry and Leonard eating the bull's genitals to keep it PG. I think it's just, there's some great Raptors moments that have come out of that show, and it all stems from Serge just being a character and a half. I really enjoy him on this team just to see those moments, like that game that they were playing the Raptors starters, where they're saying who'd most likely to, and they're all pointing at Serge Ibaka,
pointing at Serge.
Yeah, like making fun, just having laughs with each other, making jokes and stuff. It's funny seeing our team have this cool dynamic. I think we have a lot of team chemistry that stems off of like joking with each other and having fun. And I also think that team chemistry helps us get where we are today. Obviously, we lost Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green, two starters, big pieces to our team. And I think that this team chemistry that we have gained with each other has really helped us this season kind of play together as a team.
Yeah, they bonded for sure.
Yeah, it definitely starts with them as characters. Like we have definitely a bunch of interesting characters. Obviously, Serge Ibaka. Then you have OG Anunoby. I know Danny Green always talks about it, that he's just a very interesting character, very unique, really, because like he's more quiet and reserved on court, but off the court he's outgoing, likes to pick jokes. Like that's my favorite clip ever, is him and Serge Ibaka. But what about scarves? What about scarves? What about scarf? Just it's persistency. It's hilarious, man. I love it. Between that and you have someone like Pascal, who is another outgoing personality, very friendly, and same thing with Kyle and DeMar when he was here too. And then you got guys that are more reserved, like Fred VanVleet, who kind of keeps to himself, but even Norman Powell a little bit. They all have their own personality, and I feel like it kind of gels together to make this really funny environment. Serge Ibaka. Yeah. I do it's just, he's something else. I love it.
The broken English.
Yeah. And one more thing, by the way, about the before we send this off, we have to mention that NBA coming back, they were planning on doing this summer league type style, right, where we have multiple games in a day. Yeah. Like, so we could start, instead of doing 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock games, like 2 each, they're going to try spreading it like 3, 5, 7, 9, something like that. Like, more spread out, more through the day. And I think that's going to be very interesting because we got a lot of basketball to watch. I know I'm bored as hell over here, so this is going to be.
I like that better. No, I like that. I like that idea.
I think it's really cool, especially because we're in the summer. Give us that summer league feel. It's going to be fun watching a lot of basketball, but at the same time, we're going to have to watch out. Obviously, players are going to be at risk here of injury, and it's going to get challenging. Fatigue is going to play a part. We might see a lot of load management this season and next season because we have to cram in a lot of games this season, and then if next season we got to do as much as possible. They're going to throw in a lot more back-to-backs, I heard. So if we got more back-to-backs, it's going to be a lot more players sitting and stuff because we don't want to risk injury. And if there is injury, it's going to be just tough for teams.
Yeah, no, the good thing is, though, that they don't have to travel, Gabe, and I think that's big with like the jet lag and feeling tired from the plane ride, and I think that's really important that it's all in one place so they could play back-to-back games without traveling. I think that's very important to the players' health and their focus when playing multiple games in the same week.
That's an important factor, I think, to consider. Even somewhere like Denver, the Mile High City, altitude plays a part in how the players play. You know, they're fatigued, it's harder to breathe up there. It definitely all that stuff plays a part. So now it's kind of like an even level playing field. There's no really home court advantage and stuff. So it's really gonna put a focus on the basketball aspect. And we're recording this, by the way, as of June 13th. So if any news comes out, we'll make sure to add that on. I know one thing that came out the other day was that a lot of players now are they're refusing to play on the court. Some people think it's too dangerous, and then others think that it's kind of placing, I know Kyrie Irving mentioned, it feels like it's placing a shadow on the Black Lives Matter movement, that he really wants social reform, and he doesn't want to play basketball in light of kind of taking away that attention towards this issue. So it's going to be interesting to see how the players react. I know there was also some stuff about salary cuts, that not a lot of players are getting paid at this time, I believe. But Jared Dudley was going on a Twitter rant about, I think next season or something like that, contracts might get cut down if certain things get passed or players don't play. I'm not really sure. It's a lot of info that's coming out right now, and everyone's got to stay tuned, really, because there might be a part 2 of this coming along when we get closer to the season and see what happens.
Gabe, did you also hear the Austin Rivers? He made a statement going back to the Kyrie Irving point. He said he disagreed with Kyrie Irving's statement, saying that I think it's a good thing because kids have nothing to do, and instead of like going out and getting in trouble and doing other things. I mean, you can just kind of sit at home, watch basketball, enjoy the games, and it's something to do. You know, even get some friends together. And I think it's a great idea. That's the summer league kind of idea, putting games together and during the day as well.
Yeah, I know some other players as well were also, I don't know if it was real news or fake news, but some people on Twitter were saying Donovan Mitchell and some other guys like already don't want to play next season. And then Donovan Mitchell and other guys were calling that, this is cap, this is lies. Like, people are just like playing with you. So it's honestly hard to tell what's real and what's fake right now. It was Donovan Mitchell, Carmelo, and Dwight Howard that want to sit out. So it's hard to tell what people actually think. Are they scared of the virus? Are they supporting Kyrie Irving? It's an interesting time because a lot of news is coming out, and it's hard to filter what's real and what's fake. But eventually, we'll see what happens when the season starts. And right now, as NBA fans, all we can do is wait and get ready for the season to return. And hopefully we got some good basketball to watch.
That's all that matters, just the basketball. Like, everything else, we just got to fix, be together, and fix the injustices.
Okay, so I think that pretty much wraps up this episode. COVID-related episode, so it's important to address once again. Everybody, please stay safe. This virus is not a joke. It has not disappeared, although the stuff that's happening in this world. And it's summertime. We all want to have fun. But most importantly, we all got to stay safe. Everyone, wear your masks, take precautions, and just be careful in this time of, uncertainty.
Yep. Last thing like Gabe said, COVID-19, thank you for very appreciative of all the workers that are putting their lives on the line to help everyone. And it's important that we have people like this in our world, and it's really nice to see.
Yeah, people risking their lives, for the benefit of others. And we're grateful for everyone's hard work in keeping companies going and keeping hospitals and stuff safe. And finally, one final message is just everyone, we hope that everyone just loves and respects each other. This world would be a great place if we all just did that, keep the world a safer place with all these protests and stuff going on. That's just the final message, is to just be together and be respectful to one another. So we hope you all enjoyed. Thank you for listening to our 3rd episode of Rapzville Weekly. And that's us signing out. Peace.